Hello, everyone. It is Thursday with your girl. Talk your talk. Usually I start right into the podcast, but this topic today, talking about death won't kill you, is sensitive for a lot of people. It's a sensitive topic, period. So I wanted to sort of groove you all into this, and this is one of my favorite gospel artists. Lord, do it for me, right? So I'm just going to just let people come on in and just listen a little bit first. And we're going to start with the topics. We're going to discuss. There's various topics that we're going to discuss about pre-planning. And my plan is to bring a guest on tonight. So you all come on in, and I'm just going to play my song for you all. Y'all come on in. I know I have people coming in on YouTube. I have people coming in on Facebook. I have transitioned from my old page, well, my personal page, to the podcast page. So I am allowing people to log on and allowing people to view me from Twitter, YouTube, and from my Talk Your Talk podcast page. We're going to go ahead and get started. So talking about death won't kill you. That's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, pre-planning. And so some of the topics that we're going to discuss, and I have somewhat of an outline today because this right here is a very overwhelming topic and it's a lot of information. So I ask you all to get your paper and your ink pens, your pencils, and write some things down. And you all are welcome to come back and send me a message, whether it's through YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and we will respond and get you the information that you need, okay? So tonight we're going to cover pre-planning, discussing your next of kin. Who is your next of kin that you have identified? The importance of life insurance, a pre-need, and what the purpose of a pre-need is. A POA, which is a power of attorney. That's your limited and that's your durable power of attorney. A will and or trust. After you receive, most people receive legal advice to see what is the best thing for you to do based on what you have set up as far as your assets. Also, medical advance directives. Veterans, you have a lot of benefits that you don't know about or you think you may or may not qualify for. And that's for you, your spouses, and your children. And also, again, I'm going to bring a guest on to share some of her experiences if we have time to do that. So I'm going to read a message from a loved one. The message says, by pre-planning our funeral arrangements, it allowed me the opportunity to ensure that my loved ones didn't have to make difficult decisions during a time of grief and stress. You can also save money on funeral costs and ensure your funeral reflect your wishes. That's important. That's the point of pre-planning. The point of pre-planning is, for one, when someone passed, grief isn't easy, right? So when you lose a loved one, the thing about it is that once you lose that loved one, at that point, you have to decide what decisions you are going to make. And if you're stressed out and you have to figure things out, then during that vulnerable time, you have a tendency to forget a lot of things. And so the first thing that's on the topic is the next of kin. You have to identify who's your next of kin. Now, of course, we know that there are legalities with everything. And if you don't have that will in place, we will have to go by the next of kin from being your spouse. So if you are married, even if you and that person are separated, the first thing we ask, are you married? A lot of people fail to divorce, whether they forget to divorce or, oh, I'll do it. It's for whatever reason. If you do not divorce that person and you may have an estranged relationship with them, guess what? At that point, you have just given that person the right to make all decisions for you. So if you have any children, if you have grandkids, based on the succession of order, any siblings, guess what? That spouse has the final say so. Now we have, I have seen some instances where the spouse just say, I'm doing everything. And they don't leave any say so to the children who are close to them, because the spouse and that decedent were separated. And they probably didn't have a relationship with them after the divorce. But simply because there was no divorce, guess who has the final say so? So I say all that to say, get your paperwork right. Identify who's your next of kin. When you identify your next of kin, if you're not married, then it falls in order of your children. Oldest, all right? Oldest to youngest. And then if you don't have any children, it goes to your sibling. So next of kin, spouse. You're not married, or you were married and now you did legally divorce, then next of kin would be your oldest child. If you don't have any children, then it goes to your siblings. Okay, so that's the order that it goes in. The funeral home will always ask the next of kin. That's to alleviate any conflict. So anybody can't come up and say, I'm the next of kin, I'm in charge, I make the decisions. No, we will verify who's the next of kin. Okay. The next thing is, when you identify your next of kin and you start to get your paperwork together, let me turn this off. I want y'all to do this for me. Get your paperwork and put it in a safe place. That safe place can be a lockbox. It can be a cabinet. I always recommend fireproof. People know if something happens with fire, they say, I lost everything in the fire, right? So make sure, if that's the case, but make sure that you have those papers somewhere in a safe place. I say at least 2 to 3 people know. Now, for me, of course, my husband he knows the color, what it looks like. We reviewed it several times. And I also sent it to 3 of my friends that I know that if I was to pass before my husband, he's going to be in a very vulnerable state. He's going to need assistance. They know the numbers to call. I sent them all the phone numbers, what to do, because I am retired and I know the people they need to call, right? I have all that set up. Because when I pass, I don't want him scrambling looking for my DD-214s, looking for life insurance policy. Did she have one? Well, she told me she had one. I thought it was here, but then she told me that so-and-so knew where it was. No. And these are real life situations. Literally, people are thinking that other people know where things are. You know what you have set up. So put it together, put it in a safe place, and then sit down with the next of kin and go over it with them. Please do. That is so important. How would you know that they did have life insurance or not if you didn't do that? All right. So we talked about the next of kin. Next thing is insurance. There are different types of insurances out here. I will tell you this. The one thing with insurance is that my insurance agent would always ask me, even I always went back and said, I think I need more insurance. And they're like, why? Why, Deborah? You have enough insurance. But the first thing they'll ask me is, so what is your reason for the insurance? Do you want to make sure it secures your mortgage? Do you want to make sure the insurance leaves money for your children? What is the reason? Do you just want a short term? Do you want a long term? Do you want a rider for your kids? What do you want to do? Decide what you want for your insurance before you go and purchase insurance. There are so many different types out here. I'm not an expert in that. So I strongly recommend that you contact a licensed insurance agent. If you need one, I have some relationships with them with several different types of insurance companies. You let me know, and I will link you in the right direction, whether it's in North Carolina or Virginia. A lot of them are licensed in different states. But again, insurance, sometimes it's just $1 a day. Simple. So, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but sometimes you spend that when you go into, just buying some gum or chips or things that cost a lot of money. Let's just say, a lot of clothes, shoes, or whatever, things that we invest in that once it's small, we'll probably either give it away. But insurance is there for those loved ones. And that's the thing I ask people all the time. Do you care about your loved ones? Yeah, of course. So if you care, and I ask a few questions and they'll say, well, I didn't think about it like that. So get it in place, please, please. I ask you to. Let me turn this on. I ask you, get it in place. Life insurance. If you need information on that, just let me know. Whether it is what's the different types of insurance policy? You have your whole or your term. It's different types of policies, right? They even have policies that if you were to become ill, illness policy that they pay you out a lump sum. There's so many different types of policies. Just ask, and it goes back to prioritizing your needs. You understand what your priorities are. And if your children or yourself is a priority, you will have things in place. Seriously, it's policies out here. If you just want a direct burial policy, they have those for almost $10,000. Then you can sit down with the funeral home and go ahead and pre-plan and just keep it under the $10,000. And when you pass, it's there. Right? Now, we've had people that ask about the pre-needs. Now, pre-need is something different. Now, there are 3 different types of needs. There's a at need. At need means that you are deceased. Now your family coming to the funeral home to plan your funeral. The imminent need means that that's most people that may be on hospice or they see they are at risk of, passing away soon. So that's your imminent need. A lot of times people come in, and I think that's when people are more in a reactive mode. Oh my gosh, they're about to pass. They're incapacitated, meaning they can't speak. They don't have sound judgment. And now you're really panicking. Oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to probably move them here. We don't have their Medicaid. We don't have their Medicare. I have too much in the bank. They have too much in their bank account, so I can't get the Medicaid approved to get them to go to a residential facility to take care of them or rehab facility. Can you all do a power of attorney for me? See, that's that reactive mode. They're stressing out. They're already at risk of losing this loved one, and now there's nothing in place. And now that loved one do not have the right mind or sound judgment to make decisions. So now guess what? If you don't have things in place or paperwork in place, it's nothing that you can do. Now we're talking about probate court to handle all of your stuff. And if anybody know about probate court, check it in your state. The laws are all different, but I do know this, that it is a long application and they are behind. Not because it's by choice, because a lot of people do not have things in place and they have to go through the state and the courts and it gets tied up in probate. You have people who are celebrities. We're not just, you all think that this is just coming for people, this is people, period, that I don't know if, you just think that I'm going to live forever, right? On earth, no. In the physical realm, no. We all have a death day. We have a birth date, but we have a death day. And that's one thing we do know to be certain, right? But we have insurance on our car. because it's best to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Let me say that again. You have insurance. You have mortgage insurance. It's best to need it and not have it versus not have it. Let me say it again. It's best to have it and not need it versus need it and not have it. Let that sink in a little bit. We know that one day we are going to leave here. So won't you know you're going to need that. On my cars outside, I have life insurance. Car insurance. I hope I don't get into an accident or someone hits me or something happens. But guess what? I have it and I pay for it every month. And the insurance we pay on the cars sometimes is more expensive than life insurance. Prioritizing. Stop saying these crazy things about, well, when I die, just throw me in a box. A lot of people do wish it was that easy. A lot of people do wish they can just throw you in a box because they probably fed up with you or whatever. I don't know. But guess what? You're going to leave here one day. Why not already have it? Why not? Then when you talk to them, I'm going to set up a GoFundMe or I'm going to ask people to donate. And then you get upset if the person or people don't donate. You cannot get upset if someone chooses not to donate for something that was your priority. One person, Tim, my friend Tim always told me, Deborah, stop making other people emergency your priority. Stop making people's emergency your priority. He was right. Because when you don't have that insurance and you lose that loved one, and again, it's a little bit easier for people who have loved ones that may be sick and they know they have time. And even then, insurance is high, life insurance. But if it's something that happened quickly and you don't have any life insurance, you're stressed, you're vulnerable, you're hurt, grief kicks in, and you go into reactive mode. And now the GoFundMe accounts come. And now the asking for favors come. But you can expect people to donate. You can't, because the lack of prioritizing before. Okay? So again, at need is when you pass. It's too late. If nothing is in order, it's too late. Imminent need means that you are sick, hospice, you're at risk, you've been given a time frame. So now we need to go ahead and plan. But pre-need is the one that if you feel like I'm not paying for life insurance, I just want to walk into the funeral home of my choice. I want to sit down and go over everything, whether I decide to do a burial, a direct cremation, a cremation with a private viewing, or a graveside, whatever you choose to do. I am going to the funeral home and I am going to sit down and I'm going to plan everything. And when I plan everything, whatever the total cost is, think about it. You've sat there, you and that next of kin. When you go in to plan with the funeral home, it's important. If you can, bring the next of kin in with you, because it allows that person who will take care of your affairs once you are deceased. They already have a relationship with that funeral home. If you have to come in by yourself, it's okay. The funeral home would make copies for you. You all know, I own the funeral home, Presidential Funeral Services. Okay. So when we do pre-needs or pre-burials, we actually give copies to them, 3-4 copies. So they can give to the primary, their contingent, and whoever else. And we keep a copy as well. Okay. So make sure you do that. If you want a pre-need and do not want to pay for insurance, or you know that I have waited too long, I'm sick, they're probably not going to approve me. So I just want to go in and do my arrangements, whatever the cost is, I would just make a monthly payment. And when I pass away, it's already planned. Okay? Those are your needs, your pre-need, imminent need, and at need. I ask you all to do your pre-planning. Just go ahead and do it. Okay? Then we're going to talk about the good stuff. So get your ink pens, all right? My guests haven't came on yet. All right. So power of attorney. You want to see on my YouTube videos, and I posted as well on some of the Facebook and my Instagram. I try to do short videos. Then I'm going to start uploading more long videos that explain what I'm talking about on the short video. So I did one recently on a power of attorney. Now, a POA is a trust thing. And a lot of people have problems with trusting people, and I completely understand. Okay. So there's two type of power of attorneys. So you can just put POA, power of attorney. You have a limited, and I want you to write down, you have a durable, which is the general power of attorney, right? This goes back to identifying your next of kin. You always want a primary and a contingent, okay? Make sure it's two people that you trust. And people say, why do I need both? If the primary were to pass away, now that contingent will take place of the primary. That's why you want a primary and a contingent, okay? So put power of attorney, then you're going to put primary and contingent. Now, limited. I just want the people to handle certain affairs. I want them to handle maybe my taxes. I want them to handle my finances. I want them to, if I have a car lot, I want them to handle my cars on my car lot. I'm just saying different things. You specify in the limited power of attorney. So when you have power of attorney and limited, put specification. So you specify what you want them to have. That's the limited power of attorney. Now, if you say, you know what, I have one person or two people I trust, my primary, my contingent, I know whatever I give them access to, they will not screw me. All right. So you will have a durable power of attorney. That means the person you choose have access to everything. They can even open credit cards on your behalf. They can open accounts on your behalf. They can do everything. They can sign for you. They can do everything. So make sure the person you identify for your power of attorney is somebody that you trust. Limited, you're going to specify what you want them to do. So if you limit them and they try to do other things, they can't, because it specifies exactly what you want in that power of attorney. Now, if you have a durable, I stress to you all, make sure it's somebody you trust, because I promise you, I've seen this happen. People will assign durable power of attorneys and they go and open things, and the person does not know until they receive a notice in the mail. Now, you're doing the right thing because you're assigning somebody to be your power of attorney, just in case you become incapacitated and you cannot make decisions for yourself. I have it in place. I have my spouse. I have people say, I don't trust my spouse. I have my kids. Or no, I know they're going to run through my stuff. I have my siblings. Whoever you decide, okay? You have them listed. Once you have them listed as your power of attorney, that person will be the person responsible for handling your affairs. Now, this is the key. I want you to put an asterisk beside this. A power of attorney is only good when you're alive. I repeat, a POA, power of attorney, is only good when you're alive. Once you pass away, by law in the state of Virginia as well, and we tried to add it in the POA, life and death. Once you pass away, no, that power of attorney is null and void. It goes away too. And that's when it goes to your will or your trust. Okay. So we talked about power of attorneys. Now we're going to talk about your will and or your trust. And you can get with an attorney to discuss more about. Some people say, no, with what I have, my children are older. I don't have a whole lot. I don't have a lot of businesses, properties. I just have this. I just want the will. Again, a good attorney will tell you what the best decision is to make, a will or a trust. If they just want your money, they might just say do a trust, which is more intense, extensive, and it costs a little bit more. I just spoke to someone recently where she did her own trust. She said she set it down for 3 days in the house, closed the doors, focused, and she went online and she identified some platforms. If you want that information, you can inbox me and I will give you, I can't remember which one it is offhand, but I will get that information to you. And she specified everything. When she showed it to me, it showed her step by step how to do it. So if you feel like you can't afford it, there are ways to do it, a will or a trust. But a will is good for you when you pass. And when is a power of attorney good for you? When you're living. POA and will. Okay? You need those things in place. I don't care if you have one couch and one car. People, when you pass away, people fight. Sometimes there's conflict. People want jewelry, a refrigerator, your car. It doesn't matter. There will be some conflict. You have people come out the woodworks that you never spoke to, and they know you have something. They are going to pull the card of, I'm the next of kin, or I'm the person in charge. So I tell you this, have something in place. Now at Presidential Funeral Services, we do all those services free. We do your power of attorney free. We do your will free, your medical advance directive, and we do your last will and testament. I think I said that. So we do that. If you need information or whatever, you need another state, just still contact us. We'll still find out what's the difference with the laws of Virginia and North Carolina and still help you with it. I'm about to get my family together and we're going to all sit down together. I'm going to make sure everybody has a power of attorney. I'm going to make sure my family members have a will and a medical advance directive. That's the least I can do for them. So I'm going to do that with my family. And I'm thinking about having a seminar, a free seminar, of course. And I'm talking about like face to face, and probably go down to North Carolina and get a location to have people come in. But here in Virginia, you can easily have access to us here in Virginia at presidentialfuneralservices.com, or you can go on our Facebook or Google page as well. Okay. But in North Carolina, and if you are in other states as well, just send me a message and I'll give you some resources on what to do, because you can do your own. Okay. All right. The next thing is advanced directives. A medical advance directive. I need for you all, when you go to your doctor or your primary care, do I have a medical advance directive on file? So write that down. We're talking about this. You all should have written down power of attorney, trust and will. Now we're on a medical advance directive. And I know for some of you all, this topic maybe, I'm not talking about death. I'm not going to die anytime soon. I don't know what life you living in, but people dying left and right. Okay. And if you have it in order, good, great, kudos to you. I'm literally happy that you do have it in order and you already have somebody identified to know all your stuff is, but you can still listen and pass it on to somebody else. This is good free information. Okay. So if you when you go to the doctor, say, do I have a medical advance directive on file? Do y'all know what that is? That is a form pretty much that's filled out, because whenever the doctors ask, and when I was working at the VA hospital, whenever we ask veterans, they'll say, oh no, I'm not worried about that. And we really try to encourage them to put something down for their medical advance directive, because if or when you were to become incapacitated, who speaks on your behalf? If you have not did a DNR, do not resuscitate, or DNI, do not intubate, or sometimes family members, we're selfish. You can be in a state where the doctor said they really don't. They're pretty much no activity on the brain. I mean, if you keep them like this, they won't have a good source of life. Like they will always be like in the vegetable state. That's what they say. Family members, and don't take this wrong, because I know my faith as well. But family members will say they'll get better. I know my God will fix it. But sometimes it is best to be able to make that decision, because you've already been told one thing, but I know you want to wait. And I tell people, if you want to wait to pull the plug, wait, but pray about it as well, because other family members will say, I can't see my loved one suffer like this. But guess what? You did not do your medical advance directive. So guess what? Now you're causing somebody else to make the decision for you. See, I know for me, I do want the DNR. Try to resuscitate me if you see that I have a possibility of having life. Resuscitate me. I haven't really thought about the DNI, do not intubate, because when you do that, that can cause so many other medical problems. It can cause fluid in the lungs. It can cause problems with your throat and everything. It just caused so many problems. So I really haven't thought about that yet. But if the doctor tell you and get more than one opinion, you can put on your medical advance directive, I want more than one opinion. I want more than one opinion, and I want them to say that either I have a chance to live a good, strong life after I come out of this or not. The moment they say I don't let me lay there like that. Don't do that to me. Why let somebody else make that decision for you? Do your own medical advance directives. Do not wait until you get sick, because now you're being reactive. Now you're having family members, and I hate to see this. Whenever you're forcing your family to make decisions like this, they always go to the next of kin. Would you want to have someone that you don't have a relationship with, but by law, because they're your next of kin, that they make a decision for you, but you got the ones that was right there with you the whole time, that love you, they can't make a decision? No, don't do that. So make sure with power of attorney, limited or durable, identify your next of kin, primary and contingent. We talked about your will and your trust and or trust. And then we talked about medical advance directive. Now I want to talk to my veterans. See, I told you I had some good information for you all, okay? Again, this is not, people like to come on to the live and come on to the platforms when they see it's something that's about drama or something that's gonna make them be, have something to gossip and talk about. Maybe that's not my talk your talk. Okay, I am going to be informative. Some of mine may have topics that will cause your awareness to raise a little bit and may cause a little dramatized settings that gets the point across, but I'm here to give you all information. So veterans, I need for you all to go ahead and find out if you want to be buried in a military cemetery, a veteran cemetery, or if you want to be buried in a regular cemetery. I'm gonna tell you why. You all know that you are qualified for free burial, which means your plot is free, your headstone is covered, all of that is covered for you. You can actually fill it out now. I've already submitted mine for my husband and myself because I am a veteran. He also received, he will receive free burial as well. We will be buried the way they have it, not literally on top of each other, but we would be right there. And on each side of the headstone would be our name and information and the emblem that we choose to go on the headstone. Yeah, so I'm telling you all now, North Carolina, when I pass, I am staying here in Virginia. I will be buried at the Albert G. Horton Veterans Memorial Cemetery. Yes, I will. And spouses, there was a fee before, 300, I think it was $300 to $400. Now it is free. So any spouse and any child that's over the age of 18 that is disabled, you are free as well. So send me a message. I have the applications for you. If you are here in Virginia, if you in North Carolina, I will find out where is that in North Carolina, and I will get you that information to fill out and submit it. Once you submit it, guess what? It's good. My husband already know that's already done. Now, when you go to a cemetery that's not a veteran cemetery, you all know that open and closing, the setup fee and everything can range anywhere between $25 to $5,000, not even including the headstone. It's expensive. It is. So I recommend you go ahead and contact the cemetery and you start either pay on your plot, payment arrangements, or pay cash for it. Go ahead and do that now. They're still buying more land. Okay. I see my guests have came on. I'm coming. I'm going to bring you on, Dion. Let me see. So veterans, I want to meet with you all. I need the veterans to contact me because there are so many benefits for the veterans and the spouses based on your disability rating. They have something called dependent indemnity compensation. Like there's so many benefits for you all. That's pre-burial and when you pass. At the funeral home, we have received a lot of veterans at the funeral home. For one, they know I am a veteran, and two, they know I take care. Not only I take care of anybody that comes to the funeral home. I don't care who you are, how much you spend, what you do or you don't spend. When you come through presidential doors, we take care of you. Most definitely. For the veterans, I know the benefits from the rooted to the tooted. I know it all. So those veteran benefits you get with us, and we will make sure you get everything and the spouses to make sure. Okay. Um, I'm gonna bring Dion on now because what I want to talk about now is just some. I want to give you all some real life situations and scenarios, and we're gonna talk through these things and see how you all have experienced this or know of someone that has experienced. Just one second. Let me see. Hey Dion.
Hey, Dion. Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. Can you hear me?
I hear echo a
I
little
hear
bit, but it's
echo a little
okay.
bit, but it's okay. Okay.
All right. So
All
you all,
right.
I have
So you all,
Dion
I have
on
Dion
right
on
now,
right
and
now, and
Dion, I pretty
Dion,
much
I pretty
just
much
talked about
just
the
talked
basics
about the
of the
basics
importance of
of the
pre-planning,
importance of
how talking
pre-planning,
about
how
death would
talking
not
about
kill
death would
you.
not kill you.
Also, the different
Also, the
types of
different types
pre-planning
of
tips, which
pre-planning
is power of
tips, which is
attorney,
power of
a
attorney,
medical advance
a medical
directive,
advance
a
directive,
will, a
a will,
trust,
a trust,
having
having
understanding what your benefits
understanding what your
are. So
benefits
you
are.
came
So
on
you
right on
came on
time
right on
where we
time
are going
where
to
we are going
discuss
to
some
discuss
situations
some
and scenarios
situations and
that people go
scenarios that
through,
people
and we're going
go
to kind of
through.
kind of
And
talk
we're going
about
to
it a
kind of
little bit
kind
to
of
see how
talk about
people
it a little
can
bit to see
relate
how
to
people
it.
can relate to
So
it. Okay.
um Dion, it,
Dion,
have you
have you
witnessed or
witnessed
seen any
or
instances
seen any
where
instances
a loved
where
one has
a loved
passed,
one has
or
passed,
and they was more in the
and they was
reactive
more in the
mode,
reactive mode,
and people
and
that were in a
people that were
proactive
in a
mode where they
proactive
plan for the
mode where they
funeral?
plan
How
for the
did you see
funeral?
the
How did
difference
you see the
in
difference
reactive
in
versus
reactive
proactive?
versus proactive? Well, I can honestly say personally, it's a conversation that's been had for years within my family. You know, I was fortunate to have two grandmothers that lived to see 89 and 99. And their children worked hard to make sure that the everything was set in place. So the taking the trips to the funeral home, my parents are already. They're already paying for their uh, burial.
You sound kind of low. I think you probably had a
I think
call
you
come
probably had a
in,
call come in.
and when
Okay.
your call came
And when
in,
your
it kind
call
of
came
took
in,
you
it
down a
kind of
little bit.
took you down a little bit. Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
so yes, I do. My parents are already almost finished paying for their burial cost, so that won't be a issue for us in the case of them passing away. Um, we have I have had situations working with family members that did not have the proper things. If you have to keep your beneficiaries updated, because if you do not keep them updated, this you will have to go through the estate, which could take a month, maybe 2 months, if you're lucky, before any type of funds or money is released. So not keeping that information updated caused a little bit of unnecessary money that needed to be spent, and then waiting for the money to be replaced. So I've seen situations in both. Like, if you're prepared, that is one thing that I think during the process of my grandmother's being, you're reacting, you're grieving. You do not want to have to deal with money issues at the same time that you're grieving. It just adds on additional stress, and it's
Yes.
definitely unnecessary. And it's literally conversations and setting up. And I mean, you're talking about, in some situations, funeral costs compared to life insurance. I mean, some funeral costs you could $10-15 a month, and like, you don't necessarily have to pay a whole lot of money. I just want, like, my mother, she doesn't want us to have to worry about anything. She made sure that we understood that that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? We talked about death all the time. So making sure that you do not have to worry about, selling plates or selling furniture or
Right.
things like
Go
that,
fund
just
me.
to pay for funerals. And I'm not knocking anyone that does it, because I understand that situations may occur, but if as long as you have time, well, we don't have time. We don't know what the time we have, but
Right.
as long as you have time, and you can actually talk to somebody. Deborah does free classes all the time. You know what I mean? So go see what exactly you could actually have access to. And there could be benefits that you don't even know about.
Exactly. And Dion, you mentioned something about beneficiary. That is so important because I was speaking earlier about that beneficiary is the person that they're going to release everything to.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that insurance policies, they don't want to talk to anybody but the beneficiary. The
And just
bank account.
imagine how many lists, like the bank accounts, you have jobs, you got, insurance companies. Like there's different things that you actually have that you need to make sure the beneficiary is correct on all of this documentation. Because the minute that, anything happens, you do not want your children or anybody who is, responsible for your estate to have to sit here and fight and have to prove things, and it's, if you can save the time, just do it.
Dion, I tell people all the time, death brings so much conflict, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh. I
When
mean,
people
like,
think that they can get money, a car, and see, the sad thing is, we had a case recently where the beneficiary was the decedent. Oh, no, let me take it back. We had one where the wife that had recently passed was the beneficiary. So guess what we had to do with the two siblings that came down, their kids. I met with them recently. He was on hospice. So luckily he was in his right mind. I was able to do a power of attorney. So while he was living, again, the power of attorney is while they're living. He was able to sign it, and they went and changed all the bank accounts and everything to their name, to the daughter. If he would have passed, and now his wife is passed, and he's on hospice, you're talking about probate, and a probate in Virginia is almost a year now.
Listen, it's, people do not know. They do not understand. And it's just like the insurance company would literally tell you on the phone when you are thinking you are about to send information to a funeral home. The insurance company will say, oh, no, sorry, we have to contact the state.
Yes.
You are not getting any funds from us because you are not this person's name, or the beneficiary was not even set up.
Dion, they would not release anything. They don't want to talk to nobody if you're not the beneficiary. And the bank accounts. Okay, y'all, let me make something clear to y'all for these bank accounts.
I don't care.
Let me make something clear.
I don't care if you got a birth certificate.
Death certificate, they don't care.
If it's not listed as beneficiary, it means absolutely nothing.
Dion, let me say this. The banks do not want to talk to you if you are not listed on the bank account as a joint account holder or a payable on death. If you're not the POD or the joint account holder, or if you don't have a will saying that they can do this, oh, I'm sorry. You can't even, that money in the account freeze.
And then make sure you're talking to somebody who is knowledgeable. Like, I have some things that are just for my husband, and then I have some things that are split between my children and my husband. So, you want to make sure you have all bases covered, so you don't run into situations where all the money is sent to one person, and, like, anything could happen, and I'm not here anymore, and my children might need extra money. This money is set aside for them to have at a certain age if they want to use for college or things like that. Like, these are type of arrangements you want to think about now, so that these children don't have to worry about, where they're staying. I mean, we talked about this before. Where are your children going to be if something were to happen to you?
Right.
So it's like, why not just have it all laid out? Like, I'm not saying me and my husband are on the same page about everything, because he wants certain things, and I'm sitting here like, we are not doing that. But I get it. We still talk about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we still talk about it, and we still, he literally, we went, I think it was months ago, we went to the bank just to make sure that our names were straight. Like, things change by the different things, and we think about things, and we want to make sure, the life insurance is still up to date. The life insurance is straight. We have the right names up there, things like that. So it's just,
I
it's
like
just
that you bring that up because I know I couldn't cover a lot of things. I would forget because it's so much. It's a plethora of information. But I want to stress that you all, it's something that Dion just said. I need for you all, I say at least, if you're going to do it once a quarter, check the bank accounts, make sure the names are right. Check the life insurance policy, make sure nothing has lapsed on the insurance policy, okay? Sometimes you may change your bank accounts or change your debit card, and guess what? The money try to come out, and then your insurance policy lapsed, and you forgot you have the money there, but you may have changed accounts or you have a different card. And so now when you call, the insurance is lapsed, right? Make sure that you have your shares 100% go to this person, or I'm splitting it up 50-50, right? Make sure you business owners out here, make sure that you have things set up with your children. If you want a lump sum to go to them once they turn 18, or if you want somebody designated to handle their money until they turn 18, or you have a business, you just want your kids to have access to the business, or they receive a certain amount that goes into the trust from the business. It's just so much stuff that you all can have access to now by asking for help. But you have to talk about it. And Dion, I like how you say you talk about it with your girls, because I say all the time to my boys and my husband and my family, I'm leaving here one day. I want to make sure you all have everything together. Y'all have to talk about death. We sit and talk about everything else. Why not talk about death? And you see, I'm raising my voice because I'm very passionate about it. I don't know what news y'all looking at. I don't know what newspaper y'all looking at. I don't know where your eyes at. But let me tell you something. People are leaving here left and right.
young,
You all
old,
need to
individual,
get your
all of it.
affairs in order.
And I always say it, especially when they start arguing. I'm like, oh, no. Y'all better stick together, because I need to know that y'all can do it together if I'm not here. Like, y'all got to stop arguing. Don't listen. You think they 10 years apart, they act like they sisters or twins. I be sitting like, listen, I need to make sure that there is there's nothing wrong with arguing, but y'all got to stick together, because if something should happen to us, I got to have it in my mind that y'all are going to stick together. You're going to take care of each other, and you're not bickering over stuff that's not important. You know what I'm saying? Love, family is everything. Anybody knows me. Family is it. You know what I'm saying? That's healing for me. So it's like, if you have family, you have siblings, you know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. Death brings out a whole lot of extra stuff.
Dion.
Feelings, emotions. I'm telling you, you be sitting around here like, you didn't even know people had these issues. Like, oh my God, they mad about what? And now that grandma gone, mama gone, all kinds of stuff come out. But if you just sit around and talk about it, have these conversations, and have an understanding, you know what I'm saying, so that you're not fighting with each other during a time when you should be coming together, that's important.
Dion, why do you think people don't like to talk about death?
They might not understand it, or, for me, it could be a spiritual thing. Like, I'm a little bit more spiritual than some people may, you know what I'm saying, don't understand certain things, but it's part of life. I've kind of like accepted it, and I'm kind of happy with me personally and what it is. Like, I think people are just scared of the unknown. But I'm more like, it's nothing you can do about it. Why are you worried about
and
something?
You see how we talking and laughing about it? Like, people cannot have these conversations. Girl, I just out the blue. Sometimes I say, hey Dre, hey, I just updated something. I put it in the folder, so if I was to die tomorrow or something, you would know. He'll look at me and say, why you keep saying? I'm like, what you mean? I could die tomorrow. We don't know. I could wake up in the morning and you try to roll over and I'm gone.
Listen.
It doesn't mean when I talk about it, I'm going to die. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I updated this. Oh, by the way, this is what it looks like. Here's my birth certificate. Here's our marriage license. Here's all the life insurance policies. Oh, here's the board's social security cards, their birth, because I handle a lot of that stuff here, right? I make sure all the paperwork together, and it's a lot of women in the house that make sure all the paperwork and y'all got everything together. How would you have everything together and they don't know where it is?
Right. Most of the time it is one spouse that knows about it. You know what I mean? And it's just like the other spouse is sitting there like, I don't even know. They handled everything. What am I supposed to do now? But conversations. Oh,
Dion.
You don't even have to go through all the stuff. Just say, listen, if anything happens to me, this is a folder you need to get right here. Okay.
That's it. Look. Hey, Dion, I mentioned earlier, I said, look, if I was to leave before Andre, I've already sent mine to 3 people. Leticia, Dion, and Evie.
Listen.
I sent y'all the phone numbers and everything.
And I talk to y'all all the time. I be talking to Rosie. I be like, listen. I be talking to Kim. I be like, listen, I need y'all to have understanding. Everybody be on the same page. Don't be acting retarded. You know?
Right. Like, look.
It's just something. It's like, but you know what? We have these people. There are some people out here that don't have people. Just be grateful that you have people around you that care enough to understand what it is, what your wishes are, and make sure that it happens. That's all. People that just step in. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a blessing for me in itself.
And Dion, I'm going to make a point from that. We have met people at the funeral home and they really can't think of a next of kin. If you went to that funeral home, you can make the funeral home the beneficiary. That is an option for you all. Because some people have trust issues. Some people don't have family.
You can have your money sent to organizations to help research cancer. There's so many different options out there. You don't necessarily have to do that. Just make sure that you can pay for the funeral, though. Make sure
because
you can pay for the funeral.
Dion,
whatever decisions you make. Because it is expensive.
I was about to say that. Look, y'all. People think cremation is $500.
Listen, I was sitting here looking at my mom. I said, Mom, we have enough of this. She said, I want this. I said, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it's your mama. But I'm telling you, it's expensive.
Just make sure she come to presidential. I already told Mama that. She come to presidential. I don't care if she live in Newport News. I don't care. She coming. I already told her. Debbie. No, Debbie, nothing.
Listen, presidential.
Don't play. See how we can have these conversations. It's serious, but we can laugh about it because when you know that it's going to happen, and you have things in place, it makes it so much easier. Dion, let me tell you right now. I know I'm a big crybaby. Okay? I understand death. Let me just say that. But you let something happen to somebody I'm close with. I can't think. Let me tell you right now. Don't ask me where. Don't ask me where the insurance policy. Don't ask me. Look, write your own obituary. Write your own obituary too.
I'm so glad you said that because I'm sitting here looking at my mom, who who handles everything like this, detailed. I mean, has everything in order. And, I'm sitting here like, okay, my Nana just passed and I'm walking in and she looking at me like, okay, what are we supposed to do? And I'm looking at her like, what? What you mean? What you mean? She literally, it was like she went into a little child. So at that moment, if I wasn't there, she wouldn't have been able to think through anything. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like, I'm so glad that we had those conversations because I knew how to kind of help her navigate through different things because, you want to make sure a plan in place because during that time, you do not want to think about.
No.
Mom, you just go greet people. I got this right here. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. And so, I'm I mean, we joke about things. Me and Tim joke about stuff, but when it's serious times, we both understand. You know what I'm saying? Just having a plan together, and that's all it has to be. Don't make it bigger than what it is.
Right.
It's just a plan.
Right. And we have Presidential Funeral Services up here. Hi, Presidential. Presidential said really great information, ladies. When you know it's going to happen, why avoid the inevitable? I think it's irresponsible, very irresponsible. Even if it's fear, it's still poor planning. When you leave your family left to figure it out. Hi. Look, let me tell you all. That is the honest God truth. I feel like it's selfish. I'm just gonna keep it real. I feel like it's selfish, and I said earlier on the call that it's best to have it and not need it, and need it and not have it. That's for life insurance. That's not for death. You know you're gonna need life insurance. If you don't have to pay for life insurance, and most people, like all of us, we can afford to pay for our own funeral, right? They can just go write a check from the bank account if they wanted to. But guess what? Insurance is for a purpose. All the insurance I have is to make sure debt is covered, the mortgage, the kids have money put away. Because if I didn't have any life insurance, my funeral can still be covered, right? But it's still people that get life insurance for various reasons. And if you get a direct burial, which is $10,000, that's fine. It's super selfish, and fear is not an excuse. Just do it. I'm going to talk like Nike today. Just do it. And the good thing about Presidential Funeral Services, you all, and I mentioned Presidential earlier, we provide this to the community. We do free living wills, last will and testament, medical advance directive, power of attorney, veteran benefits. That's before and after death. We make sure when you pass away that spouse or the loved ones who are entitled gets everything that you're entitled to. That's what Presidential Funeral Service does. And yes, we are in Virginia. We are located at 1629 High Street in Portsmouth, Virginia. But I also know there's people in North Carolina and in different places that may have questions. Still message me. You can message me here, or I told the website earlier. Go to presidentialfuneralservices.com. We're also on Facebook and Google. Check our reviews out and see how we take care of our loved ones, because it's life before death, y'all. It is. If you fear death, then get your things in order. You have to. Because I have conversations with my little ones. And Dion, I know you have conversations with Desiree. I know you have conversations with Ariel. And sometimes they think, oh, Ma, I don't want to talk about that. Okay, I'm not going to always be here.
Girl, Ariel ready to get me cremated. I'd be like, that is not what I said.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Why does Ariel want to keep more money?
She talking about, I don't know, she must have seen this on the internet or something about spreading them ashes. Baby. No, I'm going into the ground, honey. Don't do that. But you know what I'm saying? She's comfortable.
Okay, and that's good. If she can talk about that, and Ariel is what? 9 years old. Think about it. A 9-year-old is, because you have these conversations with her. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of treading here because I don't like to say this, but I am. If you can go out here and you can buy Balenciaga,
just talk about it.
Jordans, Gucci, Louis. See, Gucci and Louis, I bet they probably have their stuff together. Look, I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry, but I can't say that because you got a lot of rich people. Look at what happened to what's the one from Offset? They got killed.
Oh yeah, Tate.
Yeah. Look at Aretha Franklin. Mm-hmm. Look at a lot of those rich celebrities did not have anything in place. It had to go to probate, and the state took a lot of their money.
That's crazy.
We hear people say all the time at the funeral home, you're right, I need to do this. Or when they're planning for their loved one, they're saying, oh my gosh, this is a lot. This is so stressful. Or they'll say, you know what, this has really taught me to do my own stuff. And they'll call us and they're doing their pre-burial and pre-need. Don't be that person, y'all.
Right.
We're going to leave here. And we also provide grief groups as well. We know that that is a healing process too. So if you're in Virginia, you can register on our site, or we can give resources for you as well. There are benefits that are out here that we found out today, that if you pay for um for grief groups or sessions, there are parameters though. Like, you know, if you're the one that lost a loved one due to gun violence, there are different programs out here for you. Just ask. And you all, and Dion, you know, a lot of people dying now from gun violence. A lot of our youth are dying from gun violence.
A lot of employers offer that too through their health services.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I want to say, Dion, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. You all, this is something that I can talk about all the time. I am going to say this. We cover a lot today. I will continue to drop short videos throughout the week, and then I will post the long videos on my YouTube page. So go ahead and subscribe to me. I would have that YouTube information on my podcast, Talk Your Talk, as well. I know people are still going to my personal page, Deborah Vines-Epps, but I would make sure I keep sending you all over. It's good because I went from 0 to I'm almost hitting 200 or so now on my new page. For me, that's good because my other page is my personal page. So I need to get everybody to this podcast page, and I'm going to be consistent, and I'm here to help you all, and I'm here to share and talk your talk. So on Thursdays at 7 o'clock, you all follow my YouTube page, subscribe, and also follow me on Talk Your Talk. Today, we talked about how it will not kill you to talk about death. Our babies are leaving here. You all make sure, parents, guardians, mothers, single, whatever, get the insurance on your children.
Mm-hmm.
Get it on yourself. What they always say on the airplane, you put your oxygen mask first before you do anybody else. Take care of yourself so you can be the role model for them. Because if you don't have insurance on yourself, now you're creating that barrier to your children. If you don't talk about death or talk about the importance of pre-planning, then when they have their families, they're not going to understand the importance. Be the role model for your kids. If you can talk about TikTok, you can talk about everything else. Talk about pre-planning. If you have any questions, you have free advice and free information out here for you. It's available. Thank you all for tuning in. Dion, again, thank you for coming on. I know I caught you from leaving from a meeting, but I really appreciate you taking the time and share some of your real life situations about death. I really appreciate that, Dion.
Oh, no problem. Anything.
Yes, you all
Okay.
have a good night. You all have a
All right,
great
bye.
Labor Day weekend. Be safe out there, and go ahead and check your bank accounts right now and see if you have the joint account holder or a payable on death on your bank accounts. Identify your next of kin. Who's that person that you will have the funeral home call to handle your affairs? Okay? Who's your beneficiary? If you had a change in your life, a divorce, you have changed your bank account information, check your beneficiaries right now and update your beneficiaries, because the person that was there before, you probably don't want them up there now. Change them, because they will be in charge when you pass. I've seen ex-wives get a lot of money when the wife is technically entitled to it. But because you left that ex-wife or that ex-husband as the beneficiary because you failed to update your stuff, you have now caused a conflict. I hope that that ex-wife and wife probably have somewhat of a amenable understanding or situation, but by law, it goes to the ex. Get your stuff in order. Get your affairs in order. Check your insurance policies. Get insurance. If you don't want insurance, get a pre-need. contact me. Send me a message or send us a message through Presidential Funeral Services. Y'all, this is important. I am really serious. And you should be serious too. Y'all have a good night. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Be safe. Do not drink and drive. If you want to drink, have somebody else drive for you. If you get in the pool, don't drink while you're in the pool. Don't drown. You have to leave here one day. But guess what? If you can have some control of it, control it. All right. Thank you all so much. Stay tuned next Thursday, but continue to watch because I will keep dropping short videos. Y'all have a good day. Thank you for Talk Your Talk. Thank you for joining your girl to Talk Your Talk. Thank you.